Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Chee-Tash. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be continuing on with the one thing, the extraordinary results section of the book, which is part 3 of the book, again by Gary Keller and Jay Pappison. Today we're going to be talking about living by priority. And if you remember last time, we discussed chapter 13, which was living with a purpose. All of this is to build up the iceberg. And at the foundation of the iceberg is your purpose. Next is your priority. And then at the top of the iceberg pyramid is your productivity. And actually, Gary also puts profit at the very tip top of that iceberg too. But productivity is also right there above the surface. That's kind of what you see when you see people busy all the time and doing different activities. You can see that they're productive, but you'd have to get down and ask detailed questions to unearth that person's priorities on what they are accomplishing throughout the day, what's like the tier list of what they're trying to accomplish for that day. And then at an even deeper level, you'd have to ask more detailed questions to get to their purpose. Right. And again, I like the analogy of the iceberg because of what we talked about last time, which was most of the iceberg is submerged underwater. You can't even see it. And that's kind of with priority and purpose. I like that these are at the base. They're submerged underneath water, which means that on the surface level, you don't really know somebody's purpose or you don't really know people's priorities, but you can see their productivity or their lack of productivity. And then you can kind of maybe guesstimate at the priority and the purpose, but really you'd have to really get to know them, ask questions, etc. Do some real digging to get down at what's really driving that productivity. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about priorities, living by priority. So I like that Gary starts off talking about this story of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. So there's a little exchange between the Cheshire Cat and Alice, and it goes a little something like this. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends on a good deal where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't much care where, says Alice. And here's the powerful statement here. Then it doesn't matter which way you go. Interesting, right? Well, I don't care. I don't care where I want to. Like I don't have anywhere I want to go. Well, then it doesn't matter which way you go. Just pick a direction, right? But this kind of solidifies the most important point I think that the story is getting to is you need to have some sort of direction, some sort of compass. Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow, who he plays in Pirates of the Caribbean, I believe it's in the third movie, he loses his compass. This compass just keeps on spinning and spinning, spinning. Do you guys remember this movie? And he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know what he really wants. The compass points at what he wants, but it keeps spinning and spinning and spinning because he doesn't really know what he wants. And we mentioned last time Stephen Covey's book, First Things First, where you can go 2 different tracks. You're in the Ferrari, right? Super fast. You can get to your location very, very quickly. But if you're going in the wrong direction, it doesn't really matter that you can get there fast. Now, would you rather have the Ferrari or would you rather have the compass where, yeah, okay, I might have to walk there, but at least I'm going the right way? So something to think about. And I think that little story here that Gary illustrates from Alice in Wonderland kind of harkens to that point. We can ask, what shall I do or what should I do without direction, without purpose? Whatever you shall do will always get you somewhere. But when you're going somewhere on purpose, there will always be something you should do that will get you where you must go. So Gary highlights purpose without priority is powerless. And I like that he does this here, a singular priority. It's not priorities, because remember, we're talking about one things here. Just one thing. So you shouldn't have many priorities. It should just be your priority. Your priority right now. Doing so will make everything else in your life easier. So why do we set goals and create plans? Well, it's all about being appropriate in the moments of our lives that matter. You're trying to win this battle between your future self and your present self. I think about this all the time with, hey, what could I do right now that my future self would be happy about, that I accomplished? Like, I'm trying to pay it forward to my future self by doing extra work right now. Like, I think about that sometimes. How can I set myself up for the future, basically? And it's tough because these goals that you set, these long-term, long-range goals, you don't often see the results of it until way later. Gary talks about this when he tries to define this term, hyperbolic discounting. Hyperbolic discounting, which means that the farther away a reward is in the future, the smaller the immediate motivation is to achieve it. Because people, I think I read about this, and there's a great book, Thinking Fast and Slow, Danny Kahneman, Amos Tversky, all about heuristics and biases. And I think this is one of the biases, is that people will tend to take the immediate gain, the immediate pleasure over something in the future because it's not necessarily known, right? So even if I'll give you $1 now, or I'll give you $5 tomorrow, it's like most people will just take the money and run. Because, hey, maybe that $5, maybe you might not actually give it to me in the future. Maybe it might not even be worth as much in the future. Tomorrow, it's tomorrow, so you would kind of figure, okay, money's going to be worth the same, and he really means what he says. But still, I think people would rather take the right now. I'm guaranteed this right now. And I'm no different. I definitely think like that. I definitely do. But one way to kind of go against this hyperbolic discounting, or kind of battle against it, battle like it's a war, well, to kind of, battle against it. Let's call it that. Let's call it battle against it. You're getting very violent. Battle against this hyperbolic discounting. One way to do it is you drill down your long-range goal to what you should be doing right now. This is no different than what we've talked about before with just asking the focusing question. This is all within the focusing question, but this is kind of just reiterating the point and breaking it down a little bit further. So you basically have your long-range goal and you pare it down to something achievable in the right now. Same thing as we do when we ask ourselves the focusing question. What's the one thing that I can do right now that by doing so will make things easier, will make my life easier? It's kind of the same thing, and Gary uses the analogy of a Matryoshka doll, which is that Russian doll with all the other dolls inside of it, and you open it up and there's another doll, and you open that up and there's another doll, etc., etc., etc. So what actually you want to do by extracting everything out from that someday goal, you extract it out down to your right now goal, the thing that you should be doing right now, and you become, instead of focused on the outcome, which is the someday portion of this, which is kind of hard to visualize. You don't really know when it's going to happen. It's someday. but maybe you become a little bit stressed out. You become distraught, discouraged because that's so far away. You're not sure if you're going to get there. You just work on the process. You visualize the process. You don't really worry about the outcome. And there is a great, I've never read it, but I've heard it's a good book, Bill Walsh book about the score taking care of itself. Was kind of his motto, I guess, back when he was on those famous 49ers, San Francisco 49ers of the National Football League, those teams. And, when you just surround yourself with great players and great coaches and a good front office and everybody's on the same page, and the score just takes care of itself. Kind of the same thing that Gary's talking about here. Oh, and then this was the Alice in Wonderland story. Depends on where you are going. Depends on where you are going. Gary cites the study from Dr. Gail Matthews of Dominican University. They analyzed, let me see if I can find this study. 2008. Here we go. 2008, Gail Matthews, Dominican University of California. It recruited 267 participants from a wide range of professions in a variety of countries. Those who wrote down their goals were 39.5% more likely to accomplish them. I'd like to see what they used for that, but I definitely believe it. I'd like to get a little bit more details on this study. Like, what were their goals, I guess? What were their goals? What does accomplishment mean? Et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, just to kind of see, like, is your goal, like, in the morning today and brush my teeth? Okay. Great, you can do it. But to quote something earlier in the book, is that a stretch goal? Or is that kind of like the things that are within your reach kind of goals that are kind of automatic? I don't think those were the type of goals they were doing here. Again, he's talking about lawyers, accountants, marketers, so business professionals, nonprofit employees. So they probably have some sort of substantial goal. It'd be interesting to see what kind of goals they had. But it's key. And I have goals and I write them down. I have a little whiteboard here. Not all the time. I definitely have goals up here in my head that I'm keeping track of. And then I write things down on my board that I should complete today that, again, would make things easier and get me closer to those goals. But I can definitely do a better job of writing down my long-range plan goals. And this was a shorter chapter, so we're concluding the big ideas. The big ideas. There can only be one. No, we are not talking about Highlander. We are talking about your one thing. This is nothing new to us if you guys have been with us on this journey through the one thing. Your most important priority is the one thing you can do right now. You may have many priorities, but you really only have one thing. So just remember that. Goal set to the now. Goal set to the now. Knowing your future goal is how you begin. And then identify the steps you need to accomplish along the way. Keeps your thinking clear while you uncover the right priority you need to accomplish right now. So think about the Matryoshka doll. You have the big, big goal that you want to accomplish, and just remove the layers from it till you get down to that little doll, which represents the thing that you should be doing right now if you want to build back up to that bigger doll. And put pen to paper, write down your goals. Write them down. If you guys need help with writing goals, there was one of the chapters I did on with winning in mind. Excellent chapter on how to write a good goal. And again, something that Gary talked about earlier. When did we talk about this? 2 chapters ago. 2 or 3 chapters ago when we talked about the quadrants of your goals, how they should be big and specific. That's the quadrant you want to be in. Big and specific. And Lanny Basham in With Winning in Mind, I thought, did a very good job, very, very good job of how you write a succinct plan, a succinct goal, writing it and actually writing it out, not typing it, and then posting it in different parts of your household so that when you go to certain spots of your household, you read that statement. It wasn't so much as a it was kind of a goal, but not as like a goal like, hey, I want to accomplish this thing. It was more so what you see yourself as. It was more of like an affirmation. But within the affirmation is you kind of get a goal because it's a kind of your goal to become what you speak in that affirmation. But check that out, guys, with winning in mind. It's one of the more popular book playlists that I have on the channel. And that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this episode of The One Thing. And Chee-Tash, thank you guys so much for listening. Really, really appreciate it. Big things coming on the horizon. That's all I'll say. Thank you guys so much for being on this journey. We don't have much of The One Thing. Not much more. Just a few more chapters. We're getting there. But can you believe that a while ago we were at the first chapter? Now, lo and behold, a month or two later, we're going to do chapter 15 next time. So, goal set to the now. Goals to finish the book. Well, what should we be doing right now? You start with the introduction. You just build up from there. Build your dominoes. Thanks again, everybody. My name is Chris. This has been Chee-Tash. Take care.